Wife, female 38, wants a fifth child, and I, male 39, do not. I'd like to know if there's a chance she'll get past this disappointment, and if there's anything I can do to help. 8 years ago the wife and I started having kids. I can't say I was feeling ready for the first one. The work situation was not great and we had not yet saved enough to buy a house, but there's never a perfect time to have kids and she was determined, so we entered parenthood. When the first baby arrived, the wife dropped out of the workforce and took up being a full-time mom, something I have supported as best as I can, which has been a lot of pressure on me as the only source of income for the family. We have had 3 more kids since the first, and the fourth one arrived under similar circumstances to the first. Finances were not stable, housing was not stable, we're still renting, and I had made it quite clear that I wanted to wait, but I was pressured by the wife and let my guard down, and boom, the fourth pregnancy took place. I was a bit resentful during that pregnancy, but once the baby arrived it was all positive, and today we are a happy family of 6. It's busy, my work situation still isn't great but it has improved, we are still renting. Secure housing for my family is a top priority for me. Here in Australia tenants have few rights and we've had to move quite a bit over the years. There is a good chance we will have to move again and may not be able to find something in the area in which our kids go to school, where our community is, etc. So I'm fairly motivated, and the wife has agreed that it's a priority, to purchase a house. Last year I booked in a vasectomy. Initially she was okay with it, but as the date for the procedure got closer she started to object. But if something happened, wouldn't you want the option of having more kids? And it feels so final. I'm not sure I'm ready. I decided to cancel the procedure and wait till we were on the same page about it. Recently discussions commenced about her returning to some part-time work, to help us with the goal of buying a house, and suddenly she's starting to drop hints about having another baby. I've been firmly in the no more kids camp since the 4th, so there have been no mixed signals from me. We've had a few discussions now, and I've laid out my position. 1. I think we owe it to our existing children to obtain secure housing and set down our roots here in our community. 2. I have no desire for more children. 3. I am at my capacity with 4, and am working as hard as I can to be a present, involved father, and a supporting husband. Since that discussion, she has been somewhat depressed and withdrawn. She knows I'm not going to budge and I think she's accepting that fact, but I wonder if she'll ever let go of the desire for another child, and or if she'll always hold some resentment to me for being so close to the idea. If you're a woman who's been in my wife's position, I have some questions. How did things resolve? Did you ever let go of the desire, or is it still there? What did your husband do that helped, or what should he not have said/done? Now for top comment. Brother. Go get snipped. That too many kids if you are still busting to get a house 8 years later. She can get over it, or she can disrupt the family with a divorce to go in search of a baby daddy for kid number 5. She needs to be realistic in 2023. This is unreasonable unless you are loaded and not telling us. Temporary_box_7172. Bringing a kid into the world involves 2 people. If one of them doesn't want to have a kid, then there's nothing the other can do about it. If you are adamant about not having a 5th like you say you are, then go rebook your vasectomy and attend the appointment. Your wife has every right to know about your position, the appointment, and to feel however she will feel about it, but she has no right to your body or what you do with it. Make sure to keep her feelings in mind, but at the end of the day do what is best for your family and for you. Astrabra. Exactly. She needs to know this is a final decision on your part. Give her some grace to grieve, but absolutely take your reproductive decisions into your own hands, or you might end up with an oops number 5 baby anyways. Me librarian. This was my thought. My friend was terrified to return to work when her 3rd child approached school age, because her skills had atrophied over 10 years of staying at home and being a mother was all she knew. The unknown was scary for her. She got over it and is now happily employed. The marriage didn't survive, but for unrelated reasons, but it was hard for her to admit that she was scared of failure and change. Single_vacation 427. Is having a fifth kid an excuse so she doesn't have to leave the house for work? You have 4 and you say your finances are not okay. A fifth kid is even more disruptive, because you'll even have to upgrade your car. You will need a house with even more bedrooms, unless you have 5 kids in one room, or 2 in one, 3 in another. If you do not have a house now, a house for 7 has to have even more space, and there aren't many houses for that size of a family. Does she make high-risk decisions in general? Because you said, in comment, she pressured you to have a 4th when you didn't have a job. That's a very high-risk decision, and now a 5th is another high-risk decision for multiple reasons. Usually right too. Book that vasectomy and a therapist. Jesus. She just wants to be a breeder. You two can't afford it? It's horrible for the planet. But have one more, of course. It's not fair to the existing kids to add more and make less for them. 4 kids is a lot. Is she mentally ill or something and can't see how it's a bad idea? Appropriate South 99. People can fall in love with the idea of a future baby before they even have reason to believe it will happen. Reason isn't a part of it. She is going to mourn in the same way as if she lost a baby most likely, but no one can know for sure if that will turn into resentment. Though I can guarantee being harsh or dismissive of her feeling in this will make resentment more likely. Be kind and gentle. Once menopause comes around she might mourn again. My mom went through this and she got pretty crazy at one point, but she rarely mentions it anymore. Might help for her to take up a caregiving type hobby like tending to shelter animals or volunteering at a food bank. She obviously finds a sense of purpose through caring for things. Tommy Cahill 1995. Don't know why you didn't just wear a condom after the 3rd kid tbh. Sounds like you're struggling already, and having a 5th honestly sounds unfair to the child, so use protection or get a vasectomy. Also I'm one of 4. Had a pretty comfortable childhood, mom didn't work and looked after us. Still shared bedrooms, wore each other's old clothes, etc. A 5th kid would have definitely put a huge strain on my dad's finances and would have just felt very crowded at home since we were all close enough in age, 8-year difference between my younger sister who is the younger and oldest brother. You're right to see this as unsustainable. Do you and your wife even care about your own lives, or just want to have your identity solely as parents until you die? Because you're not being independent from your kids until your 60s. Season positive 6771. The only thing that's going to help is honesty with yourself and with her. The 4th pregnancy didn't just magically happen. You weren't feeling ready to have a kid, but you did anyway. You decided to have sex without protection. You need to completely own up to the fact that you have played a very active role in this. You need to sit down with your wife and have an open and frank conversation. Not when you're emotionally heightened, not when you're thinking about having sex. You need to look her directly in the face and say you are completely done having children and you never want to have another. Let her know that isn't going to change, and either you feel very strongly about getting a vasectomy. Tell her you've started to pick up on the resentment and the disappointment, and if it's something she feels she can't get past, you can't live with her pursuing you and you want to start couples therapy right away. Season positive 6771. Thanks, this whole thing strikes me a bit wrong. He's definitely painting it as though she just happened to get pregnant by some strange circumstance, not that he willingly had unprotected sex with his wife, knowing she is super fertile. And then hiding behind "I didn't want to have a difficult conversation because neither me nor my wife are adults who take responsibility for decisions and boundaries." If he's not mature enough to work these sorts of things out, frankly, he's definitely not mature enough to have 4 children. Circuit 84. I do not know how you survive in Australia on one income with 4 kids. We are dual income and expecting number 3, and that's gonna be it. We had our first 6 months before our house was built and we're living with my parents. I absolutely understand why you'd want to know your kids have a stable place to call home and why that's more important than another kid. Maybe you need to make the financial facts known to your wife. If she wants more, she needs to work to contribute to the household finances, so that's affordable.